Welcome to the Fright Club podcast. This time out, a deeper dive into the current horror hit Weapons with special guest Scott Woods. Now, here are your hosts, Hope Madden and George Wolf.
I feel like maybe should we get up and come in with our arms out like that and run in the room? Because that's kind of creepy. That's kind of creepy in itself.
Yeah.
Welcome. This is the Fright Club podcast, and she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we welcome in our guest once again, Scott Woods. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're officially a friend of the show now. This
That's
is
right.
number
Yay.
three. Yeah, officially a friend of the show. Well, it's great because, Scott's one of our favorite writers. And when we found out he's a horror fan, most of the time when I see you post about horror films, I think our opinions are pretty close.
Usually,
on film. So they're really close. So you're obviously a very intelligent person. And I did see at least one of your posts about this movie, which was Right On. And it's got a lot of people talking for a lot of reasons. There's so much to get into. And I think, I don't know about you, but I know, because we saw it separately and then we compared notes.
Mm.
And for both of us, maybe the number one thing was we had no effing idea where it was going.
Did you? Yeah. I think one of the things I really enjoyed about Barbarian, the same director, Zach Cregger, is that only in that one, I think he led you to believe you knew what was going to happen just to pull the rug out from under you. Where in this one, I think it was less of a intentional sleight of hand. You just were like, I don't. And then, what is really satisfying is it actually built to something sensible. It was going someplace specific the whole time, but I really didn't know where it was going.
Same. I purposefully avoided everything about this movie. Like I was kung fu slapping everything away, and I did really great. I think I did 100% on that this time. Sometimes something sneaks past me, but this time it was just like, nah. I had no idea where this was gonna go.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that hooked me from the trailer because just like I just alluded to, just the fact of how they run is creepy.
It is.
I mean, they could have easily just gotten up and walked like a zombie, kind of a stupor out the door, but no, they do that running with their arms out, and that's really, really creepy. Right away, I'm like, oh, this looks very scary.
It does.
Yeah.
And I think.
Go ahead, please.
No.
I was just gonna say, like, the minute that they made it about kids, like people were freaking out, right? They're like, I'm not going to go see that. I can't take it if something happens to kids, blah, 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 blah. So I get it. I'm like, you kids add an element, right? So,
oh, yeah.
I think it's one of the reasons I've said before that It Chapter 1 is so much more interesting right off the bat than It Chapter 2, because in Chapter 2, kids are no longer in peril, so who cares? You know what I mean? Like you're going, yeah, maybe I like it, but that other one, I was really terrified the whole time something's going to happen to these little kids. And I think you're right. And it's funny. Weapons is a funny film.
Yeah.
There's a real dark humor that goes through the entire movie. And there were times when I wasn't sure I was happy about that because it is about children in peril. I thought, I don't know, it was a lot easier for me to laugh at Justin Long being a dumbass and Barbarian, right? I'm like, I don't know how comfortable I am. Although, especially once they introduced the druggie, there were some really funny moments in this movie.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to him. I forget his name because he was also very good in a movie called a couple of years ago called Wolves with Brad Pitt and George Clooney. I think it was an Apple TV movie.
Austin Abrams.
Yeah, if you liked him, go back and check that out. I liked it. I liked it better than a lot of people did. But anyway, yeah, he was great, and he had me. I laughed.
Yeah, he was funny.
He wouldn't die.
Yeah, he was great. And yeah, there's a lot of like the comedy sneaks up on you, right? Like it's like this pressure valve, and Cregger knows just when to put it in and when not to put it in. And earlier on, I'm like, okay, well, that was a cute little chuckle that I had there. And then by the end, I'm just like falling out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. It is. It's got a lot of funny moments, and of course, when they start introducing the villain. So just to point, there will be spoilers in this podcast.
Spoilers ahoy!
When you first start seeing the villain, you're like, what the,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, what is going on? And then of course, her real introduction is sort of grotesquely comedic.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first time you see her, when the scene where she's with Alex, the very first time at the table, and the parents are on either side of the table, and she doesn't have the big wig on, and she doesn't have any makeup on. And I realized it was Amy Madigan. I had not realized until that moment that that's who the actor was.
I know.
And that's the most terrifying, tense, perfectly acted scene in the entire movie. That little boy, Corey Christopher is his name, Alex. He's so perfect.
Great.
He does such a great job. He's got the eyelashes for days, just melts your heart. But the way she's so calm and talks to him, and then just the look on his face where it settles over him that there's nothing I don't understand this, but I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do. It's really incredibly moving. And so I thought, what a masterful use of comedy, in that we had seen her punctuate the narrative up till then, like this jarring clown face. And then all of a sudden you realize what was beneath that. And it was really terrifying.
Yeah, I was telling people that this is kind of like an A24 film that's not an A24 film, where 50% of their films boils down to witches, right? So it's just like, all right, got it, But yeah, she's great. And I hadn't seen her in a film for a while.
Right.
Like the last film I saw her in was Antlers in 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That always makes me laugh. We have a friend in common, two actually friends in common, and they will bring up the movie Antlers once a year when they recap their year of movies watching together, Tyrone and Brunel. And because it created a new category for them of just like a character doing something so stupid they can no longer like the movie. And her character in Antlers is a school principal who walks into like a taped up "don't go in here" attic, and you're like, no way, there's no way.
Right,
Amy Madigan is not really that dumb. But anyway, that's what it makes me think of. And I think that might be the last thing I saw her in as well.
Well, look, I mean, all horror movies are powered by bad decisions. Like you can't have a horror movie without bad decisions.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I just watched Witchboard last night. That's just nothing. Nothing. Just nothing but bad decision making.
Yeah. Anytime you introduce like a tome or Ouija board or a board with witches,
right.
That's on you. That's on you.
That's right. That's right. I'm out in the woods. Hey, look, it's a witch board. Hey, look, it's a cat.
Well,
I think I'll take them both home. Bad decision.
Sure.
Bad decision.
Yeah.
That's interesting though, because that sort of dovetails into one of the things that we've discussed about this movie, and how, well, first of all, the fact that it's told in chapters, which seems to be a very popular device right now for books and movies, but it lets you see that all these characters, they're not good people. And things that you assume about them in the first chapter, and then you find out something next chapter. Oh,
yeah.
We're all programmed probably to be sympathetic toward the teacher.
Yeah.
Everybody's ganging up on the teacher,
Yeah.
and then we find out, hey, that teacher. Maybe...
I did love that.
Yeah.
I love that about the teacher character and about the Josh Brolin character. When you're introduced to the Josh Brolin character, you're like, I hate that guy. I hate that guy. And then the longer he's on screen, the more you're like, oh. Now my feelings are complicated because he's still that same asshole, but I don't hate him so much. And the same with, I thought Julia Garner was great as this very brittle, when she's in a situation, I can't even imagine what it would be like to have been in this situation. But at the same time, about a third of her screen time, I just wanted to smack her. It's just like, what is the matter with you? How can you just be thinking about that? But then also at the same time, I love the way Benedict Wong's character, the principal, is like the one wholly 100% lovable human being in the movie. No faults. Love him to pieces. And again, comedy. And then they show him, he's on the phone. He's like trying to talk her off the ledge. And his husband is like, this bad sugary cereal or this bad sugary cereal? This delicious snack treat or this delicious snack treat? And it leads, of course, to that tray of hot dogs, which is like the best shot in the movie.
Oh my God, it's taken on a life of its own.
It
has. Tray of hot dogs.
But again, it's like this such a masterful use of comedy, because you're like, this is the one person. Please don't let anything happen to Benedict Wong. And the worst things happen to Benedict Wong. The worst. It's
like every character in this is a study in contrast, right?
Yeah.
And and so Wong, the principal, who is very straight laced and by the book, and he goes home and he's like, gluttonous and wild, a little bit wild. The teacher, she cares about kids, but then she does all the wrong things in pursuit of the truth, right? And so on and so on. Like the drug addict, is like a very thirsty drug addict, but somehow lovable, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's the way all this the well-roundedness of the characters is really, everybody's a little 360. It's kind of great.
Yeah.
It is, and I don't think we get it very often, especially not in horror. I don't think we get that.
Never.
Yeah, and I think the chapter structure is one of the reasons that he was able to do that, because we're just going to get a deep dive into this character. And it's funny, Alden Ehrenreich's character, that's not how you say it, Alden Ehrenreich's character, I never pronounce that man's
Han Solo.
name. Han Solo's character. He's like the most needless character in the film, and he gets a whole chapter unto himself, which is sort of funny because he is, right away you're like, okay, this is a good guy, I like this guy, and you're like, he's such a bad guy, this is such a bad guy. And it is just funny how much care as a writer, and I have to think that for an actor, that's got to be amazing to get a chance to play somebody who's that thoroughly developed on screen.
Yeah, and it's so rare in horror, right? Because generally speaking, characters, except for maybe like the main character or whatever, everybody is basically set up to be victimized, right? Or they somehow just kind of become, part of the background, but whatever. They don't really feed the story. And I thought the really brilliant thing in this one is that the chapters, not only does it give us insight into each character, like that's kind of a given,
right?
But he wisely breaks the story up enough to where you don't get the story without each character's contribution.
Mm-hmm.
And their contribution isn't merely, oh, I'm dead now, right? So
Right.
it's like every piece of it, everybody has a piece of it. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I saw a bit of a interview with Cregger just this week where he said a major inspiration for this was Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia, in the way that story is told, and I can totally see that. Yeah. Not a horror movie, but the way the story unfolds, I thought that was fascinating. And he of course one of our favorite filmmakers.
Oh yeah.
But this one, it's funny, in the discourse that I've seen about it, there's a lot of back and forth among the social commentary of what the movie is saying, especially around the AK-47 in the dream. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things there, because that's one of the things that led me down a different path of thinking where it was going, and then I was wrong. So, how did you? What's your takeaway from the social commentary that this movie had to offer?
I actually looked that one up and saw what Cregger said about it, because I was like, this didn't really seem to tap into anything else in the movie, like at all. And sure enough, it doesn't mean anything to Cregger, right? So his take on it is simply that it's a cool element to kind of put in. He didn't give it a lot of thought. He says it doesn't have any particular meaning, and I take him at his word on that.
Mm-hmm,
because by the time you get to the end of the movie, it has no real meaning, right? It only has the meaning that we apply to it. Right. Which is great. Like, that's fine. I love that in an art experience, right? You let me contribute to the story here just as an audience member. I mean, the movie is for me, right? And so I get to contribute to it the way I would contribute to any other piece of art that doesn't lay out what it means. And and it's so rare in film, any kind of film anymore. And so I really appreciate him giving me a paintbrush, right, and letting me do whatever I want to with it, and then him following up by saying, I wouldn't have done that, but whatever, like, I didn't do that,
Yeah,
but
and I think
the discourse is, it's like all, not to blow it out, meta it, but all of the discourse about everything that we observe, as it turns out, is largely projection, right? It's largely what we want it to be, what we want it to mean, how we think that it is applied. And it reminds me of going to a gallery once, and there was this artist. He had all these works up. They were very surreal, and the artist was there one night, and people were asking him, "Oh, what does the floating egg mean?" And he's like, "Rebirth." And then they're like, "What is you use all red a lot? What does that mean?" "Oh, it's just red." And it's like nothing meant anything.
it's just red.
It's just red.
But I think it's interesting because that frustrates people in a way that I think shows you the kind of art that is so prevalent, especially on streaming. There's so much content that is just so obvious about what it's doing, because a lot of times, especially for streaming, it's programmed because they know you're feeding the dog and you're coming back into the room in a minute, and so we're going to restate what's going on. And so when you get something like this that maybe asks you to participate, like you're talking about, that's very frustrating. And I want to be, I want to be told what it means and where it's going. But I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad state of affairs to be a fan of movies right now, in a way. Like, we have so much, and yet we have so little.
Yeah, I think it's. I love that he would do that. I think even like more cinematic movies, there's a tendency for films to be so structured, so templated, to follow such a very specific, everything has to mean something. You've got act 1, act 2, act 3. You've got, this is where it splits in 2, and this is where, all is lost. And, and for him to just go, Josh Brolin's dream. I figure that's kind of what Josh Brolin's character is thinking, is machine gun, like he's the one who said they're running like they're weapons. He's a character that's just got weapons in his head, and, and that's just interesting for it to there to be something that's so, there's a big giant machine gun above the building with a timestamp on it. You're like, oh, that's something. That means something, And I love that he's just confident enough. This will make me go, this is a cool image. Let's just, and I assumed, I thought, okay, well, I'm like, okay, well, in the end, it's about an older generation that is willing to let school children die so that they can benefit, right? Like, so this is, okay, that's our weapons analogy. Okay. All right. That works for me. But again, that's just what I got out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You just figure it out on your own, and that's kind of fun.
I mean, that is kind of, if there's anything that you can say about art definitively, is that it is the job of art to allow some room for the viewer, for the reader, for the listener to interpret. Like even the bad stuff, right?
Yeah. And one of the other things that I loved about this movie, and it reminded me in a way of The Ring, because I've said several times that I think one of the things that makes The Ring so powerful is because that video is so creepy.
Yeah.
They made it so creepy. In this, her Aunt Gladys's routine is creepy. How she casts her spells, whoever came up with that, it had to be something that was just inherently creepy. And the way that she does it is, to me, I found it very, very creepy. Yeah. And then the way that it is turned back on her, because this younger generation was watching and learning and turned it back on her. I loved all of that with the spell and the water and all that, the hair.
Oh, yeah, that was really, really well done. Yeah.
And it led earlier to that, before it sort of it gave rise to one of the, I've heard a lot of people say one of the scariest moments in the film was when she sneaks into the car when the teacher is sleeping.
Oh, yeah.
To snip that hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When I watched it, it was just me and one other person in the theater, and he gasped aloud because it's a great shot. It's a great piece of direction because this woman who's walking all crazy with scissors, and she goes past the car, and all you can see is that the teacher is sleeping, and you hear the car door open. You don't see anything, and the other man in the theater just gasped aloud. It's an incredibly well written, well structured script, but it's also really nicely directed. Where he has your eye go, where he has you paying attention. It's an incredibly competently put together as a film that's intended to ratchet up tension.
Yeah, this was, I think, the most scared I've been of a movie like in a very long time, like a long time. And right away, and I saw it under very similar circumstances. I was in, middle of the night. The movie, it was the day before the movie dropped officially. So it was a Thursday night. There's like 4 other people in the theater. Yep. It's late. I'm like, this was a mistake. And then the movie has the nerve to be actually terrifying for like 45 straight minutes, so yeah. Lesson learned.
And it's one of those that if it hits the nerve of what you find scary, because as we've said many times, what frightens people is it's almost like as personal as what that they find funny.
Right.
Somebody said, "Oh, that's not scary at all." Well, okay, but if it touches that nerve, and I get it, I agree with this movie that man, it can really just keep gnawing on it, and leading to what I thought was a pretty satisfying payoff. I know I've heard some people say they didn't think so, but I think once you got an idea of where it was going with Aunt Gladys, I thought it was pretty satisfying.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people there was too much sort of a comedic tone to the climax of the film, and I think for other people they were hoping for something more maybe profound. They wanted an A24 ending. But
Witches.
I think for horror movie fans, it's like you wanted to see her get it.
Oh yeah.
It's like, and you wanted to see the kids give it to her. Like, and I felt like for a horror movie fan, I thought that the ending delivered exactly what we were hoping for. How did you feel about the ending?
I thought it was fine. I thought it was great. Like, it ended tonally the way I thought it should. So for instance, at that point I had been laughing off and on, right? But then the minute that kid broke that stick, oh my God, like this wave of angry children. That was, all of a sudden I wasn't entirely I was laughing during the chase here and there, right? But the idea that these children were going to kill this woman, like, I was like, oh my God, this thing is out of control. But I also get why some people who are probably not horror fans, frankly, thought it might have been a little anticlimactic. And I think that's because it's psychological. I think that because they were led down this very terrifying path. They were scared at the trailer. They were scared in the theater. And then by the end, by the time you explain everything, you're like, oh, that's it? And it's like, yeah, that's it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you kind of do what the film builds, which is if you put a witch, like this kind of witch, not a wicked witch, not a whatever, like, not hocus pocus witches. Like if you put like a witch in a real world situation, this is something akin to what that might be like in the real world. And you can't survive as long as a witch might, as long as this witch might, by being, building gingerbread houses or whatever and blowing things up. You can't survive that way. She's a parasite, right?
Right.
Kind of, if you need people as a parasite, you're going to have to be a little savvy. You're not going to have to be out here like she can't have, big tree with stuff hanging all over it out in the backyard. That's not,
That's right.
Yeah.
you know,
Can't
you
draw
can't
attention
play
to
the
yourself,
game if that's how you play it. And so I thought it was very satisfying as long as you keep it in context. And if the context, I mean, and the setup is very simple, right? Like, admit that you were terrified of a very simple concept, missing children,
Yeah.
which technically happens all the time in the real world.
Yeah.
Not like this, but it happens.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of those people were just really upset that it didn't have, you know, big explosions and aliens. I think a lot of people thought it was aliens.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, it's just some old witch. Like, really? It's like, yeah, really. I
I thought
guarantee
it
you
was
that if you met her, you would be terrified.
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd be poking yourself in the face with a fork.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I thought it was.
Like, she
I
did
thought
that
it was-
like, just as an afterthought, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
good Lord.
yeah. I thought it was satisfying. Number one, I thought it was funny because suddenly this old lady can run.
Oh yeah. She with that look on her face. Oh no.
I love that.
No.
As soon as he
Yeah.
broke that twig, she
Yeah.
knew it,
Yeah.
and her face was like, "Oh my!" And just suddenly she can, you know, is in a mile run,
Yeah.
and they're tracking her down and rip her to pieces. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was very satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because by then she was just so inherently evil and
Yeah.
just telling the boy, "Oh, I can make your parents eat themselves."
Oh,
Whoa.
That was a scary scene. I think. Yeah, I said that already. That was
Yeah.
that was a really scary scene. I love to. We have villains are my favorite. My favorite characters and anything villain. And we've had a really good year for villains. And she's right up there. She's neck and neck with Remick, I think. I mean, she's right up there.
Yeah. That's tough. I think there's already, I've been seeing some headlines, there's some clamoring for a prequel
Oh yeah.
about Aunt Gladys.
I'd go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not mad at that,
Right.
but like, I guess I'm just burnt out on people asking for more of something that already gave you what it
Yeah.
has, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that they did that within 2 hours of Sinners. They were
Oh
doing
yeah.
that.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Which
Come on.
I get it. Like, look, there's a lot of story that was not told. There are a lot of characters that
Yeah.
seemed kind of interesting. You
Yeah.
want to live in that world a little longer, and I'm like, but no, don't ask for that. Like,
Yeah,
this,
did he shut that talk
Yeah.
down?
huh?
Did he shut that down? Kugler shut that talk down?
For the most part,
Yeah.
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 And I'm more or less glad. You know, like, I mean, come on, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe he can produce it and let somebody else play with it, but
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't mind a little fan fiction in my head. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I like where my brain took those Choctaw vampire hunters. I don't need somebody else to decide for me.
Yeah.
Plus, you know
And
what?
look,
You can always just go see it again.
Yeah.
Or go watch Bone Tomahawk or something. You know, like,
Oh yes.
you know, if you
that's
need
a-
that itch, you know.
Yeah. Yes. That is a good idea. Well, that's good. Well, we can't let you get out of here without saying how the preparations for the miniature Halloween village are coming, because we love it so much.
And we're already can't wait to go.
So I'm so glad that you asked. It's going smashing, considering that I cannot physically do anything to the space until the end of September. So right now, all I'm doing is accumulating things and picking up new things and starting to think about the scenes and whatnot. And so I'm at the fun part of it right now, where I just spend money. But in about 4 weeks or so, I'm going to have to shut everything down, and then that becomes my life for a month, right? Setting that up. So right now it's going great. I literally have my car. I probably shouldn't say this while it's out there in the street, but my car is full of brand new Halloween stuff.
That's amazing.
So
For anybody who doesn't know, Scott, the Streetlight Guild downtown Columbus has, for all of Halloween season, the most magnificent just series of miniature Halloween villages, like 2 floors of them. There's a whole island with pirates and stuff. It's
glorious.
It's glorious. We went for the first time last year. I can't believe we'd never been before. I think we were there for 3 hours. And I remember thinking to myself, I just want to crawl in because there are things I feel like I can't see well enough from here. So next time for sure, I got to bring my glasses. Everybody should go.
Yeah.
Well, and every year that I do it is the best year I've done it. So that's going to be true this year too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what's the best way for people to, once all the information comes out, just follow you generally on socials and everything?
I will be sharing it, but streetlightguild.org is the website. We have Streetlight Guild on Instagram, on Facebook. It will not be a secret.
Good, because man, we thought we would like it, but it blew all our expectations away. It's so cool.
Yeah,
that means the world to me.
Everybody should see it.
And Scott, you're. I mean, it's not brand new, but you have a book that came out this year.
It came out in November of last year.
Okay.
So I'm still essentially running around doing gigs for that still.
Yeah. And tell us the title and where we can get one.
Black Night is Falling is my third collection of poetry, and it's my most recent book after about a 6-year hiatus from putting anything out. So it's great. It's like a blues album in paper form.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's great. We got a copy at right with the Wexner Center bookstores. We got ours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a place we go.
Awesome.
Well, that is awesome. We can't thank you enough for sharing your thoughts on weapons. You thought it was great. We thought it was great, and it just continues what has been a really nice year in horror. Man,
a good year so far.
Yeah, it's been a great year. Yeah.
the
Even the stuff the stuff that's not hitting theaters. There's a lot of great stuff that's not hitting. That's always true, but it's especially true this year.
Yeah. And it's funny. We were talking the other day about when people just say, "Oh wow, horror is hot all of a sudden." Like, well, it pretty much always is. People like horror. Yeah. They really do.
Very popular.
And they will pay to see it.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
I know we will.
Yeah, we will for sure. I mean, they can't all be weapons. Sometimes they're witchboard. But
that's okay. I'm not mad I saw it.
It's still fun. It's still fun. And they give you a special popcorn bucket.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
Scott, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And hopefully we do this again next time we have a horror movie that wows us.
Yes.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to be with you.
All right. For Scott Woods and Hope Madden, I'm George Wolf. This is the Fright Club podcast. Let's all say it together. Stay frightful, my friends. 1, 2, 3. Stay frightful, my friends.
Oh, stay frightful. I didn't hear the phrase.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.